You're not cold. You're not commitment-phobic. You're not someone who doesn't do relationships. You're someone who learned very early that closeness is the mechanism that produces the most pain. And you developed a strategy. Leave before you can be left. Push before you can be pushed. Exit before the exit happens to you. The preemptive exit. It looks different in every relationship. Sometimes it's distance, sometimes it's a fight, sometimes it's just slowly going quiet. But the function is always the same. Protect yourself from the abandonment that already happened once. Because if the first time taught you anything, it's that people who get close enough to matter get close enough to destroy. In this video, 10 signs that you're pushing people away before they can hurt you. For each one, the behavior on the surface, the wound underneath that installed it, and the cost it carries now, because every sign traces back to the same origin, not coldness, protection. Number 1, someone starts caring about you, genuinely caring, and something in you pulls back, not because you don't want it, because you do. And wanting it is the danger, the wound. Closeness was where the damage happened. The person who got closest, the parent, the caregiver, the first love, was also the person who caused the most pain. The system logged. Closeness equals vulnerability. Vulnerability equals pain. And the pullback is not rejection of the person. It's the nervous system's automated response to the proximity alarm. Too close. Reduce distance. Now, the cost. The person who cares reads the distance as disinterest. They pull back too. And the distance you created to protect yourself becomes the distance that proves your fear was right. See, they left, not knowing you left first. And the cruelest part, you feel validated. See, I was right not to get close. They disappeared. But they didn't disappear. They responded to the distance you created. The abandonment you feared became the abandonment you engineered. And the wound says, I told you so. When the truth is, you told them so. You told them to leave by leaving first. And they listened. Number 2, they're kind. They're consistent. They're everything the childhood wasn't. And you cannot stop finding things wrong with them. Too eager, too available. Something about their laugh, the flaw finding, is relentless. The wound. You were taught that good things are temporary. The kindness will end. The consistency will crack. And the person who finds the flaw first controls the narrative. I left because of the flaw, not because I was afraid. The flaw is the alibi for the exit. The cost. You discard people who are genuinely safe because the safety itself feels suspicious. And you are left alone not because good people don't exist, but because every time one arrived, your system found the reason to disqualify them before they could get close enough to matter. Number 3, you said yes. You want to go. And 40 minutes before, you cancel. Not because something came up, because something activated. The anticipation of being seen, being present, being in a space where you can't control the outcome. The system reads it as exposure and shuts it down. The wound showing up was punished. Being visible was risky. The child who stayed home was safer than the child who engaged. And the cancel is the adult version of the child staying in their room. Not avoidance. Containment. The cost. People stop inviting you. Not because they don't like you, because they learned your pattern before you did. They say yes and they cancel. And the isolation you fear becomes the isolation you create. Number 4, the conversation is going well. The connection is real. And you put your phone down and don't reply for 3 days. Not because you lost interest, because the interest is terrifying. The wound investment was the setup for the fall. The more you cared, the more it hurt when it collapsed. And the system learned The safest response to caring deeply is to not show it. The silence is not proportional to indifference. It's proportional to how much you have to lose. The cost. They interpret the silence as rejection. They stop reaching out, and you never tell them why. You never say, "I went quiet because you mattered too much, and I didn't know what to do with that." You let the silence speak for you. And it says the wrong thing. It says indifference. When the truth you may never have spoken aloud to anyone, is, "I go quietest with the people who matter most, because those are the people who can hurt me the way the first person did." And the silence is not avoidance. It's the highest form of self-preservation the system knows. And you are left with a phone full of unanswered messages from people who wanted to know you, and a nervous system that tells you, "See? Good thing you didn't reply. They would have left anyway." Number 5. The relationship is going well. The evening is calm. Everything is fine. And you start a fight about nothing, not because you're angry, because the calm is unbearable. The wound good moments were always the prelude to bad ones. The calm dinner was followed by the explosion. The loving weekend was followed by the withdrawal. And the system can't tolerate sustained good because sustained good, in the original data, was always the setup. The cost. The partner stops trusting the good moments too. They learn to brace when things are calm, because calm has become the precursor to conflict in this relationship as well. You've exported the original pattern. The childhood pattern now runs in 2 people instead of 1. Number 6. The relationship is solid. They show up consistently, and you are absolutely certain, not afraid certain, that they will leave. It's not anxiety, it's prophecy. And the prophecy writes the script, "They'll leave, so I should leave first." The preemptive exit. The wound, the first people who were supposed to stay didn't, or stayed and left emotionally. And the conclusion was not they left. The conclusion was people leave. Universal, permanent, applied to every future person regardless of evidence. The cost. You leave good things before they end naturally. Relationships that might have lasted a lifetime end at month 3 because you couldn't tolerate the uncertainty of not knowing when they'd go. And leaving first feels like control. But it's not. It's the wound controlling you. And this is the sign where the pattern becomes most visible. You are not making a choice. You're executing a program. The program runs. Detect a good thing, then predict its ending, then end it first, then call it self-protection. And the program is so fast that by the time you realize what happened, the relationship is already over and you're already telling yourself the story. It wasn't going to work anyway, but you don't know that. You never let it run long enough to find out. Number 7. You need nothing. You ask for nothing. You are the easiest person in every room. Not because you don't have needs, because you learned that needs are the mechanism for rejection. The child who needed was the child who was told they were too much. The wound, having needs, was punished. Expressing needs was met with withdrawal, frustration, or the specific message, "You are a burden," and the system adapted. If needs cause rejection, eliminate the needs. Become the person who never asks, the person who never burdens, the person nobody has to worry about. The cost. People don't know you. They know the low-maintenance version. They know the person who says, "I'm fine," and means, "I learned not to need things from people." And you wonder why the relationships feel shallow. They're shallow because you only showed them the surface. The depth was hidden to keep it safe. Number 8. You pull back. You go quiet. You create distance, and you wait. If they come find you, if they chase, it means they care. If they don't, it confirms what you already believed. You're not worth pursuing. The wound, love, was inconsistent. Sometimes the parent came, sometimes they didn't. And the child learned to test. If I withdraw, will they notice? Will they come? The test became the only way to measure love because consistent love was never modeled. The cost: people who care but don't chase, people who respect the space you asked for, are eliminated by the test. And people who do chase are often the ones who don't respect boundaries. The test selects for the wrong thing. And the pattern repeats. You push, they either chase or leave, and both outcomes confirm the wound. And here's what nobody tells you about the pull-away test. It's designed to fail. If they chase, you interpret the chasing as proof they care. But you don't trust it because you manufactured it. If they don't chase, you interpret the space as proof they never cared. There is no outcome that produces safety. The test is rigged, not by malice, by a childhood that never provided a model for love that didn't require testing. And the person who would simply say, "I'm here and I'm not going anywhere and you don't need to test me to find that out," that person gets disqualified first because their steadiness doesn't match the pattern. And the pattern is the only language the wound speaks. Number 9, you give everything. You're the most generous person in the relationship. You overfunction, overdeliver, overcare, and then one day you withdraw completely, without warning. The wound: you learned that withdrawal requires a balance. If you've given enough, the withdrawal is justified. Nobody can call you selfish if you've given more than anyone. The overgiving is not generosity. It's a prepaid exit fee, insurance against being blamed when you inevitably need to pull away. The cost: the partner experiences whiplash. Everything to nothing, presence to absence, all in to checked out. And they're not allowed to complain because look at how much you gave. The overgiving becomes a shield. And behind the shield, the person who needed to pull away is still hiding from the same wound. If I let someone depend on me and then I disappear, at least I earned the right to disappear. And the pattern has a cycle. Overgive until depleted, then withdraw suddenly, then feel guilty, then overgive again to compensate. The cycle looks like inconsistency from outside. From inside, it's the only way the system knows how to manage the competing needs: the need to connect and the need to protect. The overgiving serves the connection. The withdrawal serves the protection. And neither one gets to be complete because the other is always waiting. Number 10, the relationship ends. And instead of grief, you feel relief. Not because you didn't care, not because it didn't matter, because the anticipation of the loss was worse than the loss itself. The vigilance is finally over. The shoe finally dropped. And dropping is actually more peaceful than waiting. The wound: you lived in a household where the threat of loss was constant. The parent might leave, the mood might shift, the safety might evaporate, and the child lived in perpetual anticipation. When will it happen? The anticipation became the primary experience, not the loss, the waiting for it. The cost: you can't grieve properly because the relief gets in the way. And the relief makes you question yourself. If I'm relieved, did I even care? You did. You cared so much that the caring itself was an emergency. And the relief is not about the person leaving. It's about the hypervigilance finally getting to rest. And this is perhaps the most misunderstood sign of all. People who feel relief when relationships end believe it means they didn't love enough. That's wrong. It means they loved in a state of emergency. Every moment of the relationship was spent bracing for the ending. And when the ending arrives, the bracing finally stops. The relief is not about the absence of the person. It's about the absence of the vigil. And if you could have loved without the vigil, if the system had allowed you to simply be present without monitoring for the exit, the relief would never have been necessary, because you wouldn't have been exhausted by the love. you would have just been in it. 10 signs, 10 ways the preemptive exit runs. The distance, the flaw finding, the canceling, the silence, the fighting, the certainty they'll leave, the low maintenance mask, the pull-away test, the overgiving exit fee, and the relief when it's over. None of it is coldness. All of it is protection. Protection designed by a child who learned that closeness is where the damage happens. And the protection works. It keeps people out. But it also keeps you alone. And alone for the child was safer than close. For the adult, alone is just the wound repeating itself without a witness. The way to stop pushing people away is not to force yourself to stay. It's to understand what the push is protecting you from. And to ask each time, is this danger real? Is this person the one who hurt me? Or am I treating a new person like an old wound? At Inner Lens, we name the protection so you can decide what still needs protecting. If this video reached you, stay. There is more here, and none of it is cold.